Wednesday, word. Wednesday, word. Wednesday, word. And we are live. What's going on? Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube live. It is your man, Coach Rowe, back for 2023. Today is Wednesday. I'd like to welcome you back to the first row. And if it is Wednesday, you should know what that means. It's time for a Wednesday word. That's Wednesday word. Before we jump straight into it, I hope you guys like the new intro. I've been working on some things, trying some things out. I'll be testing a couple of things this year on how I do my content. But I hope you enjoyed the first intro, and I hope you enjoy the outro that I have now for the Wednesday word. But man, it has been a minute since we have tapped in. But let's jump straight into it, because tonight's topic is actually a continuation from the last topic that we had at the season 2 finale for the Wednesday Word in 2022. In the season finale for the Wednesday Word for 2022, we had the guiding light. And the guiding light was really about the guiding light that I used throughout 2022, kind of guiding me through my journey. That was one specific word that was my focal point for 2022. And that word was thriving. And so I promised when I came back that I would share what my guiding light word was for 2023 if I had one. And fortunately for us all, I do have one. So let's jump straight into it. But before we jump into it, let's do a recap of how I use, or the tools that I use for determining what my guiding light is for the year. So tool number one, if you remember or don't remember, if you don't remember, go catch the replay. But tool number one for the guiding light for 2022, or any guiding light that I select, is embrace the word. It's really about creating gravity around the word that I'm deciding is going to be my guiding light. Something that is going to pull me to it, pull me towards it, push me towards it, that I'm constantly going to be in emotion towards that word. So the very first tool was embrace the word. The second tool when choosing a guiding light was choose a meaningful and impactful word. In short, this word, every time you think about it, every time you hear it, should hit you in the feels. Like you should be like, ooh, that's that word again, and you should feel it. And then tool number 3, really quickly, was limit yourself to one word when possible. Me, I personally like to limit myself to one word because it creates an immense intentionality behind the selection of the word. And it causes me to be hypercritical about the word that I'm selecting. Not critical in a negative way, like, oh, that's not a good word, that's not a good word, but critical about what does that word mean? What is that word? How is that word defined? Or how does that word define me? That's why I really feel like it's important to limit yourself to one word. Some people will go at 2 or 3 words. Some people will make a little phrase. But for myself, limiting myself to one word has been super helpful in selecting my guiding light. So that gets that out of the way, the way we select the guiding light. But really, I wanted to kind of share my journey on selecting my guiding light for 2023. And strangely enough, the word that I thought was going to be my guiding light word ended up not being my word. And it's weird because it ended up not being my word, like almost at like the last second or last minute. But the word that I really felt like was resonating with me towards the end of 2022 and kind of leading into 2023 was release. I thought release is going to be my word. I started talking to a couple of friends and saying, yeah, I'm thinking the word that for 2023 is going to be release. And I felt really good about it, and it set well with me, and I embraced the word, and I chose something that was meaningful and something that was impactful for the things that I experience in life. Sometimes I do need to just release and let things go. But as I started exploring what the word release meant, and if my focal point truly was in 2023 release, all of a sudden I started thinking about, well, what does it mean to release? What would I be releasing? And all I could really think of were like releasing negative things, like, oh, releasing negative relationships or relationships that are toxic, releasing past traumas, releasing past hurts, forgiving people. Like that's what I started thinking about releasing. And though those are admirable and wonderful things to release, as I started thinking about the entirety of the year, I started thinking about if I'm releasing, then what I'm doing is I'm letting go. And if I'm letting go, then what I'm doing is I'm subtracting. And though I may subtract an abundance of things that need to be subtracted out of my life, I'm not saying I don't have things that need to be removed from my life. At the end of the day, for the entirety of a year, for 365 days, to be solely focused on the removal of parts of me, maybe I might get to a space where, hey, look, I've let go of an abundance of negative things, and now the only thing that's left is positive. I doubt I get to that point. But when you start running out of things to get rid of, you start getting rid of some things that you probably should have kept. And so release began to not sit right with me, but I still kind of was embracing the word like, well, maybe I still need to embrace it. And so through a series of events, I would say, fortunate events, I actually decided to change my word. And it was interesting because it was the beginning of 2021, January 1st, 2021. I wake up and I'm doing my normal routine. My normal routine is I wake up and I try to jump onto an application on my phone called Duolingo. That Duolingo application allows me to practice my Spanish and allows me to get better and improve my Spanish abilities, our Spanish speaking abilities. And so I jump on my phone and I'm doing the exercises. And when I finish the first exercise, this thing comes up on my phone and it says, ding, you've now reached 130 days of consistent practice. Like it's like a practice streak every day for like 130 days. I have practiced Spanish. And it said something about users who reach this milestone improve their fluency. And that word fluency hit me. When I say embrace the word or choose a meaningful word, it's something that it should hit you in the feels. That word fluency hit me like a lightning bolt. And it didn't hit me just in the sense of Spanish. Like I can definitely tell after 130 days of practicing Spanish that my Spanish has significantly improved. Um, but it hit me in the sense of like my life in its entirety and where I'm at now. Especially, I talk about on the Wednesday Word and on the first row about how we may level up and reach these plateaus. Especially where I'm at now, coming out of a year of thriving where everything was just taking off like a rocket. And now I'm in these foreign lands of newness, of growth, and I'm seeking to become fluent in this new space. And so I actually decided that my word was not going to be released. And I chose the word fluency because fluency resonated with me in a way that releasing didn't. Here's the thing that I can actually use the word fluency as a guiding light, and that can encompass me releasing things, being fluent emotionally, and understanding that there may be some trauma and scars emotionally that I have to deal with, but becoming fluent in that would allow me the space to release the things that I need to release. However, fluency also gives me the ability to add. Hey, what's going on, Bruce? What's going on, Casual? Gives me the ability to add. And that's why fluency resonates with me so much. And I want to share something. I told you I'm doing things a little different right now, first row. So you're going to have to bear with me. But I want to share something because I was having this conversation with my good friend, Key Bryant. He's an amazing brother of mine. And he put this up after this conversation that we had, but he put the definition of fluency up after a conversation we had. And so I want to share that definition of fluency. And fluency says capable of flowing. And I'm going to kind of stop at each one. Flowing, when I think about flowing, I think about water. When water is not impeded, it has the ability to flow from the wherever it starts, the lake, all the way to the sea. Then it says capable of moving with ease and grace. I don't know about you guys, but sometimes your boy can be a little uncoordinated, not on the dance floor. I love getting down on the dance floor, but sometimes when it comes to like life situations, conversations, anxieties, frustrations, I can be a little antiquated. And so being able to move with ease and grace, man, I would just love to be able to move from event to event, situation to a situation, and just be able to move with ease and with grace. Then the third part is capable of using a language easily and accurately. And it's funny because we always equate, well, I always equate language to like English, Spanish, Portuguese, Lingala, Swahili, like the languages of the world. I always associate language with speaking, but language is more than just speaking. It's communication and understanding, not only how to communicate with others, but how to interpret the communication that's coming to you. And so language, or fluency when it comes to language, can be more than just conversational interactions. It could be understanding that somebody is yelling at you and that they're coming from a hurt place, and being able to interpret and understand that place that they're coming from. Casual, hey, I'm sorry, I got to take my breaks, man. When I get my breaks, I got to take them. And then lastly, having or showing mastery of a subject or skill. Let me jump on my notepad really quick, because there's a couple of things where I would love to have mastery of a subject or a skill. So my question would be, what does fluency look like when we're looking at it spiritually? What does it look like when we look at it emotionally, when we look at it financially, when we look at it and situationally, linguistically, when we look at it professionally, when we look at it with the relationships that we have with people that we love and we care about, or relationships that we have that people we may not be so fond about? What does fluency look like? And that's why fluency became my defining word, because fluency looks like mastery. Fluency looks like grace. Fluency looks like it's easy, even when it's not. And so I think about, how do we get to fluency? That's great. It's a word, fluency. Great. We're going to be fluent. We're going to be fluent, and we're going to master some things. But how do we get there? And it takes me right back to my journey of 130 days of practicing Spanish. And this is a little bit of a blending of my Wednesday word, because normally I like to kind of share a story at the end, but this is the story that really got me thinking about fluency and how it helps us in life, how it helps us understand situations in life. And so my wife and I went to Vegas for Christmas. And on Christmas morning, I decided, hey, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to work out. And on the way back, I stopped to get some breakfast. Stopped at this little creperie shop to get a crepe and some breakfast. And there was a young lady who was very sweet at the register who helped me. And there was a guy standing behind this young lady, and he was really quiet. And so she takes my order. I tell her what I want. She gives him the receipt. Hey, this is what he wants. And then he goes over to the little area where I can stand and watch him make it. And so while he's making my crepe, I say, hey, how are you doing today? And he just kind of looks at me like, and he says, I don't speak English. He's like, I was like, oh, okay. I was like, what language? And he says, Spanish. I said, oh, ¿tú hablas español? And he says, yes. And we strike up this conversation that isn't like, world changing or anything like that, but it opens up a dialogue between he and I, where we're communicating. I'm telling him, oh, my wife's from Puerto Rico. And he's like, oh, my wife's from Puerto Rico. He's like, oh, I'm from Cuba. And we're like having this dialogue. And I think about that moment in fluency, because if I wasn't practicing Spanish for 130 days, I wouldn't be able to transition from speaking to somebody in English to speaking to somebody in Spanish, roughly speaking to them in Spanish, but speaking to them in Spanish. I think about that, and I think about how initially I had felt about my interaction with this person. Initially, my interaction was like, dude, this dude is not a morning person. Why are you working in the morning time with this crappy attitude? And what it was there was a language barrier. And because of my ability to shift to a skill that I'm currently trying to master and speak Spanish to this person, it opened up like the warmth of our human connection with one another. And while we're interacting with each other, a person walks up and he's like, hey, excuse me, very polite, excuse me, can we move these tables together? We don't have enough tables for all of us to sit together. Can we move these tables together? And I say, hey, he doesn't speak English. I'm like, but it's probably okay that you take those tables and put them together. Just make sure when you're done, you move them back to where you got them from. And so the guy kind of looks at, he's like, oh, okay, thank you. And then the guy looks at me who I'm speaking Spanish with. And I was like, más mesas, like more tables. They want more tables. And he was like, oh, okay. And we kind of just kept our conversation. But in that space, it really showed me the importance of fluency, to where we can have an abundance of misunderstandings in life. We can get things completely wrong in life because we are not fluent in the experience that we're in. But once we become fluent in the experience that we're in, once we're fluent in the emotional content that we feel within when we're going through difficulties, when we're going through happiness, once we're aware and fluent and have mastery and can gracefully move through those things, we open up a completely different spectrum within our own lives. And so for me, this year, the word is fluency. Um, I would ask for those who are watching live, if you've already selected your word, pop it in the chat. Doesn't have to be fluency. I'm just sharing my word. If you want my word, you can use the word. It's honestly not my word. It's just a word. But if you have a word that you thought about because you were on the last episode of Guiding Light with the Wednesday word, pop that in the chat. Share what your word is, something that you're going to use as your guiding light for this year. And for myself personally, my guiding light doesn't change through the year. That's why it's really important, the process that I go through to select it, because once I select it, that's it. I'm not changing it. But if that doesn't work for you, maybe you have a guiding light for 6 months. Maybe you have a guiding light for 1 quarter. Maybe you have a guiding light for 30 days. Who knows? But do what feels right for you. Do what resonates with you. Brother Bruce, improve and transform. Every time I see improve, I think show improve. But improve and transform, I like that. But do what resonates for you. That's where I'm at with the Wednesday word, building content that resonates with me. Hopefully it resonates with the viewers, and I think it resonates with the viewers. But at the end of the day, if it doesn't resonate with me, I can't authentically present it to anyone, including myself. So that's where I'm at today. Again, this is just about the Guiding Light 2023. Next week's Wednesday word is actually going to be a premiere because I'll be out of state, so I won't have the opportunity to be live. But you will have a premiere that you can watch that will be pre-recorded for you, casual. So I know it's been a long time, but I'm back for season 3. So many seasons, it's getting out of control. But I'm back for season 3. I cannot wait to share the content that I have in store for you guys. You will not see me on Carolyn Michelle and Billy Rowe live, or Carolyn Michelle or Billy Rowe live this Friday, but we are going to relaunch season 3 of Carolyn Michelle and Billy Rowe live on Friday, January 20th. That will be when I return back into town. It's kind of hard to do those shows live when I'm out from my home base. So you'll see us on January 20th, 2023 for Carolyn Michelle and Billy Rowe live, but you can still catch Carolyn Michelle at The Grind Define on thegrinddefined.com. So head over to grinddefined.com, check out our podcast, The Grind Define. I'm sure there is abundance of content there that you have yet to tap into, and it will be life-changing, equally life-changing as the content that you get here on The First Row. So that's really all I got for you guys today. It's short, sweet, to the point. The guiding light of 2023 for me is fluency. For Brother Bruce, it is improve and transform, improving where you're at right now, improving upon where you're at right now, and transforming into who you're supposed to be. I'm with all that. So that's all I got for you guys tonight. As always, if you like this video, share it. If you share this video, like it. I'm always happy to engage with you in the comments. I'm always happy to engage with you in the live chat if you're watching live, or on the comments, at least for the first 7 days that the content is up. Then after that, I move on to the next content. But until the next time, one love, peace, and God bless. Thanks for sitting on The First Row. Enjoy the version 2 outro.